Welcome to the Arm Barn. It is episode 2. I am Peter Apple, and I'm playing point guard for our center, Tucker Davidson, left-handed pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels. On the back half of this episode, we have a great interview with Patrick Sandoval, another lefty for the Los Angeles Angels, who makes his start tomorrow. We're recording on Saturday against Team USA. Unfortunately, they just lost a tough one, 5-4 to Team Colombia, but the thing is with the World Baseball Classic and what we've seen so far is there are so many upsets, including, remember our episode 1 where I picked Chinese Taipei to come out of Pool A? Newsflash, Chinese Taipei is rolling. The problem, we both liked Cuba, and Cuba isn't showing up against anybody. And it's funny, you see guys like Yohan Moncada, Luis Robert, even though they played well in their last game, big leaguers struggling initially while some of the other guys are coming through. What's up, man? How's the WBC going for you so far?
WBC's going great. I think I've been a little bit shocked with the Cuba thing. That was kind of my initial reaction, was just like, what's going on? And I think maybe pressing a little bit too much, trying to do too much, too early in the game, and then you're in a 2-0 ball game, and all of a sudden you're looking on your heels and like, oh goodness, like we got to pull this out. And I think that's just kind of what they were doing, pressing a little bit, but other than that, the games have been exciting. I mean, the energy from the fans has been nuts. From Pool A and B, just from over there in the Tokyo Dome, has been incredible. Just seeing everybody be so silent and nobody speaks or anything whenever they're pitching, and then when they're hitting it, it's just rowdy, loud. They're getting after it, and it's just exciting.
That's why I really like Chinese Taipei too, because they're also known as Taiwan, and they're playing in Taichung City, Taiwan. I like that home field advantage because Pool A, at least so far, has just been a crapshoot. Like it's any team can win on any given day. And we just spoke with Patrick Sandoval, or you'll hear it on the back half, but we recorded it beforehand, that even a team like Team Mexico, who is so good, Team USA is -8.5 on the run line against Great Britain. That's what's so exciting about this tournament, is that any team can win, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm a little nervous on the USA side of what happens if they get in a scuffle and can't hit the guy. It's just one of those things. Baseball, anybody can win on any given day, but I'm sure they're going to figure a way out to score some runs. They got a pretty good little lineup there, so I'm excited to watch them tonight and just kind of see how the week progresses with everything, with the Dominican playing Venezuela right now and just everything's going on. So excited about that.
Who are some players that you want to highlight? Because for me, this guy isn't the best player on the field, but I feel like he's the greatest. I want him in left field for my team. That's Roel Santos on Cuba, the leadoff hitter. I love the way he's in the box. Like, it just feels like every single pitch he's battling, because then I watch Luis Robert just K on 3 pitches, and it seems like he's just swinging at the low and away slider, even though Luis Robert is an all-world talent. But Roel Santos is making plays in left. He's hitting a couple doubles, and he's just grinding. Who are some players that because some guys are in the minor leagues, some guys are playing professionally otherwhere. Like, who are some guys, because the big stars, obviously it's great to watch some of them, but who are some kind of under the radar guys watching the World Baseball Classic that you've taken a liking to?
I don't know if he's considered a big star yet. He is on his way, but Bobby Witt, I got to witness. We played them the other day and just got to witness that can play for the first time. Only heard about him and then just saw him on TV. It's kind of the way it had been the last couple of years, but was blown away by his just speed and athleticism. My ring light just went out. And just like his athleticism, and he really blew me away with all that, and just how it was as true as what everybody had said, and excited to see what versatility he can bring for them. And maybe it's just pinch running and still second base, and all of a sudden base hit from Mike Trout scores them and they win the game. You never know what's going to happen, but and I'm just excited to see a lot of the arms from Team Mexico. I think just they're very exciting, and then just how well the Dominican plays. And I want to see Acuna bat flip a couple times. That'd be fun.
So you have teammates on opposite teams. You have Patrick on Team Mexico, who's in your rotation. You have Mike Trout, your teammate, who's on Team USA. You have Shohei Ohtani, who is obviously on Team Japan. A lot of Angels players are scattered across the World Baseball Classic. I assume you're rooting for Team USA, but is there another team with a teammate on that you find yourself gravitating towards right now?
I think Japan, just a little bit because of Shohei.
And Roki.
I think just because, and Roki, because I think I just have so much respect for Japanese baseball, just because they do it do play the game such a right way, and I think that really like inspires me. Just like I've always been interested, just obviously like how they've developed pitchers that come over, the hezzy leg kicks, just everything like that. So I've always been interested in that. So I think I'm kind of pulling for Japan. I would love a Japan USA game because I definitely want to see Shohei pitch that game. So hopefully that ends up what happening. But if Roki pitches it, I'll be okay with that too.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no wrong answer in that rotation because sprinkled in the middle there's Yu Darvish, and then on the back end
Yes.
of that rotation is Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who has won back-to-back Iji Sawamura awards in Japan, and they're the only undefeated team right now. They're 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's Australia who's 2-0, but they haven't played 3 games yet. So technically, there's 2 undefeated teams. But I think that just goes to show that in the World Baseball Classic so far, the 2 undefeated teams, of course, are expected with Japan, but unexpected with Australia. And we saw a big Czech Republic win over Team China.
Yes.
Who's the under the radar team? Maybe you don't have a teammate on that you just feel like, you're in the bigs, you're playing baseball all the time. You can sense momentum when you see it. Who's a team right now in the World Baseball Classic who you feel just has that special juice to them?
I kind of like the Team Italy or Team Australia. I think they're both playing very like scrappy, hard nosed baseball. It's just like I'm gonna grind out some ABs. We're gonna pitch well. We're gonna do everything just correctly. We're not gonna do it flashy, beating you with the long ball all the time. But we're gonna play the game the right way and do everything. But it's the big joke of the clubhouse the other day was David Fletcher got intentionally walked, and we're like, why wouldn't you want to throw to Fletcher? And it was just kind of like the joke because he swings at everything and he'll pitch over his head, somehow hits a single on it. It's like, no, we get why they don't want to throw it to him because you spike it 55 feet and he gets a base hit somehow.
And the World Baseball Classic, of course, it's the talk of the town right now. But
Mm-hmm.
the Major League season starts soon, and you're grinding in spring training right now. And I know a lot of listeners, they want to tune in and they want to hear from Tucker himself what he's working on in spring training in order to dominate the 2023 season. Like, how's the regimen going? What's going on? Tell the people what you've kind of been working on.
Good. We're now at the like 4 or 5 inning mark. I think I got 75 pitches on Monday. So excited for that. We're really at the let's get the body get going, get it in shape, get the stamina up, kind of get everything locked in. Now your pitches are moving the way they're supposed to be, or you're now making the corrections to make them better. And then it's the little tweaks of how you're setting up out of the windup, how you're setting out of the stretch, just the little things that we can catch up and fine tune and just make sure you're not tipping, doing just different things. And that's really the focus. And then PFP, we kind of joked about it. We hadn't done much because we had been doing so many like team fundamentals, getting on these new like disengagement rules and like if this circumstance happens, what do we do? And just like trying to like figure all that out. But once all the WBC players left, we kind of went to, hey, pitchers are going to do your generic 3-1s, some comebackers, and then fill the bunt, and then you're done type of thing. So we've been kind of having a good time over there. They've been getting the clock out so we can work on like runners running down the first base. We could see like we're filling the bunt, like how much time you actually have. So you have to can't just go through the motions. You have to have a purpose to it.
And we've been texting beforehand too, throughout the off season, and I know you're really excited about kind of developing that new pitch. We talked to Patrick again on the back half of this episode about the usage of his slider, how it increased, and how you guys are both again working on that slider too. But you're working on a lot of new stuff, right?
I added a sweeper this year and a split. The sweeper's been a little easier to learn than the splitter, but I'm definitely like learning to fine tune the splitter more than I'm trying to fine tune the sweeper right now. Sweeper I picked up pretty easily. Just it was more of finding a grip that I could repeat, and it was more the same feeling as my other slider that I throw decently hard. This one's just a little bit bigger. So now I'm throwing this at the behind the left-handed batter, making it come across versus throwing it kind of in that gap in between the his knee and like where the imaginary plate boundary is. So that's typically where I throw the harder slider, and then just learning like the split, and it's just kind of been interesting because every like I feel like we're 2 out of 3 are good right now, and then the third one we're calling an air cutter because I'm literally getting like 13 inches of separation and cut. So typically the splitter is going to have less carry and like ride on it like a fastball. It's going to have more drop. Well, I'm getting on the side of the ball and like like middle finger is clipping it, so it pushes it upwards and it's knuckling, so it's literally like a rising cutter, and it's
Huh.
just kind of. And my last strikeout the other day was off of it. I threw a really good one, and then I tried to throw it again and threw the air cutter, and the umpire even asked like, "What was that?" I was like, "That was supposed to be a splitter." So we're really trying to figure out like, hey, how do we not do this? Because it might work out and you might get a stolen strikeout or a pop up, but it's more of what happens if the catcher's expecting something to go down and they miss it and it goes to the backstop and then you score a run like that. So they were like, this is where we got to really lock this in.
Could it be qualified as a slutter, like a slider cutter
I
thing?
mean, the one I threw in the game had 15 inches of vertical break and +6 horizontal. The pitch before had 4 inches of vertical break and then -6. So you got to think of it like a graph that was like that far, like a 12-inch difference between like vertically and like horizontally break. And they were just like, yeah, let's not throw that one. Let's get back to the better one.
And you have a teammate who throws a pretty good splitter. His name is Shohei Ohtani. It's pretty good. Have I know,
Yes.
as the Yankees, they've been big on developing cutters for
Mm-hmm.
pitchers, like Nestor developing the cutter, Luis Severino developing a cutter, and it even comes down from, of course, Mariano. CC started throwing it too. Now on the Angels, after Shohei has come over, is that a pitch, rotation wide that everybody's learning, or is that something you specifically are working on?
That's just more of me. The Angels are very big on just like changeups, and they're pretty standardized on the grip. And if you don't have one, they're throw it like this. It's going to come off these two seams. Trust it. We'll make manipulations dip once we see Edgertronic video. So that's really how they did it. Last year, I could not kill any spin rate on it. So I'm throwing it fastballs at 2,000 or 2,100, throwing 1,800 spin rate fastball. So it's just a slower two seam. So they were like, we have to find a way to kill spin, and they were like, throw a splitter, and I like threw one like kind of in play catch, and they're like, hey, that was kind of good, you want to just throw a couple on the mound and just see what this is. Threw a couple and they're like, yeah, this has potential, you're going to throw it against on the Rangers this weekend. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I remember like going out for the fourth inning and they're like, hey, throw one this inning, we don't care what happens, we just need it for like film, anything like we can get and see if this is worth doing. Threw it and it was really good. And they're like, yeah, you're going to have to spend this offseason like trying to figure it out. And it was figuring out what way the seam needed to go, like the seams on the ball needed to go. So the logo always has to face like the hitter to them. So because the way it comes off the like index finger, it's crazy how we can be so scientific on like the pitch itself now.
And I'm curious too, because there has to be like a confidence that comes off of that. Like you're learning a new pitch, you throw it a couple of times when you're playing catch, and someone in the Angels says, yes, we like that. And then they're like, throw it in the game. And then you throw a really good one. And then they say, yeah, we want you to work on this. That must feel really good, right? That you kind of unlock something because, you're just progressing as a pitcher. You're still really young. You've even been in the World Series already, but now you're just unlocking new weapons. It's almost like in a video game when you unlock a new player and you get all excited. I'm curious, there just must be a feeling like once you get off the mound and that person in the Angels tells you, yeah, this is going to work. How does that feel? It must feel awesome.
It's a good feeling because like every pitcher, I think anybody that's ever thrown a baseball is like, oh, I'm gonna make this cut a little bit more. Or like, oh, check out my nasty like two seam. Like I was standing out in BP throwing like a weird two seam grip, and it was really had like some side spin. I was like, hey, I might like throw one in my pen tomorrow and like see what they say about it. And then I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that because like you try something and they're like, no, that's terrible. Like that didn't no that didn't move at all like you thought. And you're like, well, give me one more. And it's always like that. And then they're like, no, your slider's really good. You don't need this grip. And that's usually how it goes down. But the one time you actually do it and it like works out, you're kind of like, hey, like, all right. And then you're kind of like, yeah, you're joking about me like throwing it, right? I'm like, no, like we're being serious. Like go out there and throw it and like be convicted that you can throw it. You're like, okay. You throw it and get a foul ball on it. You're like, oh, like he didn't hit it out. Like you start building confidence, and then you go and play catch with like the off season, and you're like, I'm throwing a splitter, and everybody's like, oh boy, here we go. And then you throw a really good one, and they're like, yeah, you should throw that one. So it's good and it's fun, but I don't love like ripping it at like my teammates or like guys that I don't want to like throw it and it's a bad one and it like hits them in the shin and then they go in like the IL or something like that. I don't want that at all.
No, that would be horrible. But I am also curious too, because we're about to get to our conversation here with Patrick Sandoval. But speaking to other pitchers on your staff, because there are a ton of lefties who throw a bunch of different pitches, and then you have Shohei who throws the splitter. Is there a lot of communication within the rotation talking about pitches on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think we're all very analytical and we're all trying to do something this is the exact same. We're all very different, but all the same. Like we all throw very hard sliders. Traditionally, everybody throws an overhand curveball, kind of the 12-6 version, changeups, and then forcing fastballs. We're not a lot of throwing sinkers. If we're throwing two seams, it's probably by design to get into underneath somebody's bat or for whatever the reason could be that day. So it's kind of fun to like talk about it. Like I have good vertical break on my fastball, but don't have a lot of horizontal. But Reed Detmers has good for his arm slot, but gets like 4 inches more than the major league average on horizontal. So it's kind of like everybody's different. He's got a big slow breaking ball. Sandoval's is a little bit harder. Sandoval and I throw the exact same slider, but a mile an hour different. Detmers is pure gyro slider. It's just like we're all different, so we can all like help each other. Of like we're playing catch of like, no, that's not good, or that is good because you're seeing that. Hey, I want my ball to move like that. So it needs to move like that for them too, because we're all trying to accomplish the same thing.
So now it's time to talk with Patrick Sandoval here on the Armbar. We welcome on Patrick Sandoval, left-handed pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels and member of Team Mexico. Patrick, you guys just played Team Colombia. Hard-fought battle, ended 5-4 in extra innings. How are you feeling? This is directly after the game, so a lot of adrenaline, I assume.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, these games are insane. The energy in the crowd, like nothing I've ever experienced before.
How would you like describe it compared to like a normal big league game? Is it like different? Like is it different playing in a Yankee Stadium or Dodger Stadium?
Way different. You got horn. It's like the World Cup. Like you watch the World Cup on TV
Uh-huh.
and you hear horns, and it's insane. They're on their feet. Like they know like big situations. Everyone is on their feet, screaming, shouting. Like Rosarena hit a home run to tie it today in like the fifth or sixth inning, and oh my god, the place went crazy. Like jumping out of the out. Like it's just a different brand of baseball. It's awesome.
And it must be even more rowdy than maybe even in other World Baseball Classics because it's been 6 years, right? It was supposed to happen in 2020. Then, of course, the pandemic hit. And then 2021, they even moved it back to this year. So all these fans have been just rushing, trying to get into the stadium. I know the USA Mexico game is completely sold out. Right now, we're recording in the middle of the Dominican Republic versus Venezuela game, and that crowd is insane too. You must have had to get 20, 25 tickets for family members, and how hard was it to actually get tickets?
I got 24 tickets actually. It, I had to like text a guy and tell him how many, and he was like, "Oh, I mean, I'll see what I can do." Luckily, they were able to figure it out, and they got me the tickets. But yeah, 24 tickets. This place is like I can't even imagine what it's going to be like tomorrow.
I'm going to the game tomorrow. Like, what's kind of like the process of going into the start tomorrow? What are you going? What are you doing tonight? What are you doing tomorrow morning? What's the process of it?
Stuff. I have, as I told you before, I have the arm massage therapist coming over right now to
Nice.
get me right for the start. Got the best hands in the game. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're still because they had to do a bunch of like intros today. Like they
Mhm.
introduced the team, all that. Like I don't know if they're gonna do that again tomorrow, but it takes a minute. Like so definitely gonna have to like adjust once if that happens, I'll make my adjustments. But same old thing. I'm treating it like a little bit of an elevated spring training start.
Yeah.
A little bit different atmosphere than spring training, but it's gonna be insane.
Yeah, I'm always curious too, because obviously both of you guys are big leaguers and the mental switch, like, does it change? You have a start in spring training, maybe you're just throwing a bullpen to a couple days into the MLB season and the playoffs. Like, is there a mindset change? Do you go in the same way every single time, or do you really feel something when you're on the mound in such a pivotal game like this?
I don't know. Like I said, like this is my first time ever. Like today was good. It was good to be able to be in the dugout and see what like the atmosphere is like, and I'm just like in my head trying to like multiply it by, I mean, it was only about 70% capacity today, and the place was jumping. So I can't even like tomorrow's going to be ridiculous. I'm sure it's going to play a factor into like the energy level that I have, but just gotta like kind of adjust to the situation and obviously not try to like make it out to be too much because I mean when it all boils down to everything, it's another spring training start, but there's a little like a little bit more pride to it than that.
Right. I'm assuming you're on some type of like pitch count tomorrow. Or you just free range to just go
Uh,
and
the cap is 65 anyways for first round, but I think I'm at 50 or 55. I think that's what I'm at.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the game today, unfortunately, Team Mexico took the loss 5-4. Personally, Tucker and I did on episode 1, we did our World Baseball Classic preview. And although I'm living in New York, I was born in New York, I'm an American, I picked Team Mexico because I thought there's so many big time players on your team. We saw Julio Urias pitch really well, kind of a couple of jams there, but overall had a really good outing. And Randy Rosarina, there's something about this man. There's something about this man. When he gets in the box in a big time moment, we saw it with the Tampa Bay Rays. We immediately see it. And then in the last inning, they walk him. What was the feeling in the dugout at that time? Of course, you have Alex Verdugo on deck who's coming up, who you have full faith in him. Unfortunately, he took the strikeout there. But what was kind of the feeling when Randy came up in that big of a spot? Was it almost, of course, he's going to hit the home run?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but so obviously first pitch of the game for him, he takes it off the wall and like immediately hits a double, gets on second and just stands there like this. Like it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then he came up, I think it was fifth or sixth, maybe the fifth inning. I think it was the fifth inning. And the pitcher like was just throwing all heaters. I'm pretty sure it was all heaters. He might have thrown him like one off speed pitch, but like he threw one, and I think Randy swung and missed at it, and the pitcher was like shaking his head at him, kind of like staring at him. And I was standing next to Jaron Duran, and I was like, dude, I hope he pimps one. Like I hope he hits it and pimps the absolute crap out of it. And like two pitches later, whack. And like he didn't really pimp it, but like as he's running around the base, patting his chest, he gets to third base, takes his helmet off and chucks it. Like, oh my, the coolest thing. Like just like one of the I've ever seen live.
I have one more follow up to the Randy thing because I think he's a fascinating player because he, around baseball, he's considered a very good player, right? 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases, like a very solid player. But is it known, and this is a question for you too, Tucker, is it known around baseball that in big moments you don't want to face Randy Rosarina? You're both teammates with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and of course you don't want to face them in a big moment. But is there a feeling around baseball that Randy, when the lights turn on, you just don't want to face him?
I think it's kind of unspoken, it, like obviously you watch, like if you watch baseball, so yeah, I don't think it has to be talked about much, but yeah, big game Randy, like he comes through.
Tucker, you've heard that too?
Yeah, I kind of heard that too. I just remember the cowboy hat from I think it was the 2020 World Series, and that was an incredible run he went on, and just like what he does in clutch moments. But I want to ask you about you're probably going to face your teammate Mike Trout tomorrow. What are you thinking going into that?
Punch out. It's punch out or die.
Punch
Honestly.
out or die. Okay.
Okay, so how are we getting him out? How are we getting Mike Trout out? Like what's the recipe?
You guys are gonna have to watch tomorrow. I
I have another question too, because I assume you're watching the World Baseball Classic as obviously as well as playing in it. I'm just fascinated by these two guys pitching in Japan. I don't know if you've been watching the World Baseball Classic too with Roki Sasaki and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, your teammates with Shohei Ohtani. Has he spoken about any of these two phenoms? Also, they have Munetaka Murakami, who hit 58 home runs, set the MPB record as a 22-year-old. I'm curious if both of you have spoken to Shohei about a couple of these guys.
I jokingly I think right before spring training, Shohei had been out here in Arizona. We were throwing bullpens together, and I was like, "Hey, I want a Japan jersey. Like when can you get me one?" And he kind of looked at me, and I was like, "I don't want yours though. I want Sasaki's." And he started, but Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've really talked much to him about Sasaki, but like I've seen him pitch, and obviously I saw him the other day throwing 102. Like the dude's unreal. Like there's so much
Mhm.
talent. It's it's gonna be fun when they come over here.
Have you been able to watch these guys, Tucker? What are your thoughts?
Anytime you're throwing 102, I'm probably gonna be impressed. But the thing I've seen a bunch of like pitching ninja and posting is just the 90-mile-an-hour splitters they're throwing and just the amount of depth on them, and that's kind of crazy. And that's just something I think the Japanese pitchers are very good at is learning how to throw that splitter and being able to throw it really hard. So, but love the upper 90s fastball and excited to see what they do. And hopefully you get to face Shohei.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, just a couple more questions too about the World Baseball Classic. Then we'll move kind of into some questions about next season and how you're feeling moving into the year. Team Mexico is one of the favorites. You guys might have the best overall roster that I've seen for Team Mexico. You've had some success now in the World Baseball Classic. You're not a team that just qualified and is happy to be there. Like, you guys are really trying to win this. But after a loss in the opening game, what is the atmosphere in the clubhouse like?
You know, kind of down at first when we all got in there, and then some guys stepped up and talked, and like we played a hell of a game. Like that was
You really did.
couple bad bounces like each way. Like they hit a home run off the foul pole. Rowdy Tellez hits a line or like a something down the line. I think it was the first inning. Yeah, Randy was on third.
Yeah.
He down the line, and everyone thought it was fair. They call it foul. Just like we got unlucky. We had like one bad
Mhm.
break, and is 5-4 game. So, and I mean in 10 innings. So, we can hang with everyone, and like we definitely have the roster to compete in this thing. So, we're after we had those interactions in the clubhouse. Everyone's immediately was like, we're getting Team USA. Like we got to get them. We're getting them tomorrow. Like we got it basically.
And Team USA is going to play Great Britain, and they are -8.5 on the run line. So they should take care of business. But I think I think everyone is waiting for that Team Mexico, Team USA game. That is going to be unreal, and you're going to get the start on the mound. What I guess right now you talked about facing Mike Trout, but there's plenty of other guys in the lineup. Is there anyone you're most excited to face outside of your teammate?
Honestly, like I'm just excited to face that lineup
Yeah.
top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is what you live for, like to pitch in these kinds of games and to, I mean, Tuck, he's pitched in the World Series before. Like it's like what you dream of, and you see a lineup
Right.
like that, like hell yeah, like let's see what happens,
Yeah, you're game planning for it, and you're literally going to the lineup, and you're like, I got to be on my stuff, and you're getting pumped up about it, and you're like, if I get a slider down and in, like I'm punching them out, and then I'm going to strut around the mountain. Like that's just the confidence like we have going into these games, and I think that's just a big thing, and it's going to be a blast for you. I'm excited to watch. Me, Detmers, and Chris Rodriguez are coming, so I'm trying to get a poster made for tomorrow, and we're kind of like not directly behind home plate, but the like section right over to it. So I'm hoping I can like be on the TV. So hopefully I can get a good little poster for you.
Oh God, I
What is the
can't.
poster? What is the poster going to say?
I don't know yet. That's what I've been asking like Howie and a couple of our like strength coordinators and stuff, just seeing what everybody's got like some input on. So I might see what Nevin wants to put on there and maybe make one for Trout or something. See what we can drama we can start.
Nev's gonna be behind the plate too, huh? That's what I
Yeah,
heard.
I'm assuming our travel agent got or travel secretary got us the tickets too. So I'm assuming we all have similar tickets.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions about the Angels for you guys next year, and a player that I know at Just Baseball that we're super high on, and we really like the trade. You guys got Logan O'Hoppe, who is this young catcher making a lot of noise in spring training, and even in his short cameo last year looked really good. It's looking like he's going to be the starting catcher this year for the Angels. With both of you guys on the mound, what have you seen from Logan O'Hoppe? Are you excited for him to be behind the plate? I'm just curious to learn more about this kid because everything I'm reading, he looks great.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's a stud, honestly. Like
Yeah.
built like he's like built in a lab, for like to be honest.
Yeah, me building the lap, like chiseled everything, veins popping out everywhere.
Looks the part. He acts the part. He's very professional. Goes about his business the right way. I think I've only thrown to him. I think once. It was my last start. I think that might have been the only time I threw to him. I really liked it. He's athletic back there. He has confidence and calls a good game. So I'm excited to see like how he pans out because I mean that I've heard that bat plays about it just about anywhere. So excited to see that.
Tucker, you too? Have you gotten to throw to him yet this spring?
I threw to him last year, my last start of the season, and he impressed me a lot. Just if the confidence he walks around, just like a big league clubhouse at 23 years old, 24 years old, however old he is, and just how he handles his business. He's taking care of it. He's going to every catcher meeting, having intent, has a notebook with him, jotting stuff down, asking questions in between innings, and just was blown away by his work ethic. So hopefully the bat plays, and I think it will because I mean he hit 25 home runs a year ago and like 13 in like 2 weeks. So I think it's going to play for sure. And he's got a good arm. So I'm excited for him.
And another young player on the Angels that I was really, really enamored with because he's got great stuff, but he just kept getting better and better as the year went on. That's Reed Detmers, who is one of 5 lefties projected in your guys' rotation. I'm curious, watching his maturation, especially you, Patrick, you've been on the team now for a few years. How have you seen him develop? And do you think he's going to be a real pitcher this year? Real pitcher. Of course he is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's very much real. Yeah, I think the biggest thing seeing him, from when he debuted to now is the confidence that he has like in himself. He knows that his stuff plays at this level and it plays insanely well. And it's cool. It's just, that's like the coolest thing for me is to see just the way he walks around now. Like he knows that he's got it and he's tapped. Like it's all coming together. And yeah, he's gonna be a really, really, really good pitcher.
And Tucker, you came over last year, and so you've gotten to see him for a little while. He's the real deal, huh?
He's the real deal. He sat 96 yesterday for 4 innings, so I think that's pretty good if you ask me. But yeah, I think just the confidence. I mean, he threw an immaculate inning and a no hitter in the same year. I think Patrick and I would both just take one of those in our career, and so I think he's just very, very young, talented, and he's got a great arm. He's got a lot of feel for what he's trying to do, and they've really helped him excel. And I think he's going to really take off and blossom this year.
Yeah, so speaking about 2 young guys, obviously everyone has their welcome to the bigs moment. Patrick, what was your welcome to the major leagues moment?
Oh, man. I think my debut, I had to step in the box and face Luis Castillo throwing, and that bastard, I was like, sick.
Yeah, you like pitching a lot more than hitting, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you guys both glad that obviously you play in the American League, but Tucker, you were pitching in the National League? Do you guys like the fact that we have a universal DH now, or do you wish that you could possibly hit? Actually, a better question is, would you prefer that everyone gets a DH or there's no DH across the league?
I prefer the DH now because I got a hit. I got my 1 hit. I'm good. I don't box ever. But yeah, I think the DH is good for baseball.
Tucker?
Yeah, I'm for the DH. I never got a hit, so I'm like over 9 with 9 strikeouts. Like couldn't hit water if I fell out of a boat during the 2021 season. But I'm glad I don't have to hit just because like I don't want to face 98. Like it's hard enough. I'd rather watch somebody that can actually hit, try to do it, and like it's awesome. Like you get to see Shohei like hit and pitch in the same time. Like we wouldn't be able to do that if there wasn't that DH. So I think being able to do that's just huge for us.
Yeah, and another player that I'm really excited to watch next season, and I got a little bit of hate because I put him on my top 100 players list. I came out with a list myself, and because he hasn't played in the last 2 years, but I see a talent that's still one of the top of the line guys, and that's Anthony Rendon. It's just about staying healthy for him. I know you guys have been with him in spring. What should Angels fans probably expect from Anthony Rendon, assuming health? He looks great in spring right now.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Two Bags. He is every bit of Anthony Rendon. Like he's still that guy.
That's good to hear.
So if he stays healthy, I mean, we're going to be in a good spot for sure.
I agree for sure.
You think so too? Yeah, I mean, just the overall aura of the Angels, because a couple of years you guys have come up a little bit short, but this year just there's something coming out of this roster and just this team. It's just from top to bottom. Tucker and I talked about this on the first episode. There's no breaks. right? From 1 to 9 in the batting order, from 1 to 6 in the rotation, a great bullpen too. What's the atmosphere like? Does it feel different, Patrick?
Yeah, I feel like in the past there's been a lot of like lot more talk about it, like this is the year. Like there hasn't been much like rah. It's like everyone's just going about their business and like everyone knows we have the roster to do what we need to do. And it's just about showing up and doing our job every day. Like there's no like this is the year or whatever. Like we know we have the team and we know that if we just show up every single day, do our job, like we will be in a good spot.
And Tucker, you pitched in Game 5 of the World Series and you're World Series champion. Does it have that kind of aura?
Yeah, I definitely feel that aura. I remember feeling that like that year of just like everybody's confident and like going about their business. Like if I get my work done and do what I'm supposed to do, we're going to win a lot of games. And I think just everybody's bought in on that of just like we have two of the best players in the world. And it's kind of let's just do what we do well. And that might just be pitching well, might be hitting well. Just like let's take care of business and let's get these superstars in October and let them play in postseason. And then we can see what happens because that's when the magic and anything can happen then.
Patrick, I know I want to ask a question about your pitch mix because you made a big change. Maybe not big, like massive change in terms of mechanics or anything like that, but you started throwing your slider much more. And you're kind of known for that changeup. The changeup is disgusting, but if you look at Savant, you look at pitch usage, you use the slider much more. I'm curious if that was an off-season change or just how that came to be.
No, yeah, I came into last year, obviously, like they had told me I needed to throw it a little bit more, just because they liked the way it graded out and they saw something. They're like, it plays to both batters. Like you have free range to throw it to lefties and righties. And I was like, okay. And then as the season started, like my changeup was good for maybe the first like 3, 4 starts. I don't think I gave up a hit on my changeup for like 4 starts. And then we were in Oakland. I gave up a couple hits on it, and then it just vanished. Like I had no feel for it. I couldn't like if I was throwing it for a strike, it was right down the middle, and guys were hitting it. And so I had like 4 or 5 games in a row where I had to like rely heavily on my slider, and it just like I don't know, blossomed into a really good pitch and something that I've been able to use way more. So I guess it was more out of necessity, honestly.
And Tucker, you I mean you're developing new pitches too. How's that going for you right now?
It's going good. Developing them well. I think Patrick and I got to throw together like early before spring training. And we both got to work on some stuff. I think we're both kind of making sure the sliders are getting back to where they are. This changer's been very good this spring training, but continuing to get better and working on the sweeper and just working on that and getting ready for spring or getting ready as spring goes.
I'm curious too because we mentioned Reed Detmers. Both of you guys are left-handed. You have 5 lefties in the rotation, of course, with Shohei. Is that weird? I know you hear stories where it's like, you got to give guys different looks. You need 3 righties and 3 lefties or something like that. Does it matter to you guys? Do you guys even notice?
I don't know. I don't know if it's weird or not. Honestly, I guess we're gonna find out because, I mean, it does sound weird just having Shohei and then 5 lefties right after him. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't
because
thought about it either. Of just like what like our team's gonna get used to it. I haven't like thought about it, like is that like a thing, or is it just dependent solely of like, well, we have 5 nasty lefties and that's what we're gonna do. I haven't like thought about like, how it's gonna work throughout like a year of like navigating teams and having to mix stuff up. I don't like what happens if a team hits really well against lefties. I don't know. That's the interesting part of it.
But you have 5 good lefties. Like the only reason I
Exactly.
ask is because I was reading about it and everything seemed kind of negative towards it. And I was reading it. What if they had a lefty at the top and then 5 righties? Nobody would be talking about it. That's why I just wanted to ask you guys if there was something that, that you've heard or that it felt weird. But in my opinion, I was like, I don't see that big of a deal. If you're a good pitcher, you're a good pitcher, and you guys can get both lefties and righties out. I just wanted to ask kind of around the clubhouse if it came up. It was like, oh, we might be in trouble when it didn't seem to matter much to me.
No, yeah, at least I haven't heard kinds of discussions at all. I'm with you. Like, no one would be talking about it if it was all righties.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys too. I saw in an interview, Patrick, that your favorite stadium to pitch in was Fenway. And I'm curious if that might change now pitching in Arizona against Team USA, if for some reason that ballpark will feel better, but I'm just curious your favorite ballpark to pitch in if it's still Fenway.
It might. Yeah, I think Fenway. It's just that place is just awesome. You know, the history there, and I don't know, like it's just a cool place to be able to stand on the mound and look around and be like, I'm actually pitching in this game, like
Mhm.
historic stadium. So yeah, I think that's why it is one of my favorites.
Tucker?
Seattle's one of my favorite places. Just to like anytime we play there, everybody gets excited. The food's good, stadium's good, hotel's super nice, and I think that's just one of my favorite places to pitch. My first start as an Angel was there, and the Blue Angels were just flying around like the whole game, just enjoying the Sunday afternoon baseball game, just like we all are.
Last question for me. Thank you, Patrick, for coming on the Arm Barn. One player, we've spoken about a couple rookies. We spoke about Anthony Rendon. Who's one player that you guys have seen in spring training that Angels fans need to watch out for?
Brandon Drury.
Mm-hmm.
Dude is gonna rake.
Because he killed the ball last year in Cincinnati, then went over to San Diego, kind of revitalized his career, right, Tucker? So Brandon Drury would be your answer, or do you have another guy?
I think he's right up there with me. I was thinking Hunter Renfroe as well. I think just the defensive versatility he's going to bring, be able to move Ward to left, and he's got a bazooka out there and right. So I think just be able to use those two guys are going to be big for us just to keep everybody healthy throughout the year and big bats.
Angels fans, watch out. Your team's going to be loaded this year, led by these two guys. And of course, you got Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, and we could keep going through names. Patrick, thanks so much for coming on the Arm Barn. It was great to talk to you right after the Team Mexico game and then right before your start against Team USA. Good luck, my man. I hope you kill it.
Appreciate it.
Good luck,
Thanks,
brother.
guys. Thanks, Tuck.